Hi guys, welcome to our channel.
Welcome to our channel. Our channel is called Stories from the OR because we are both doctors and we both would like to be surgeons. Yes, we both like orthopedic surgery, to be specific.
Are you sure you like neuro?
I like also as well.
She's a neurosurgeon in the making.
Yeah, so we'd like to demystify the things that go about in the hospital, and we'd like to talk to you guys about our experiences. So come on the journey with us, and I hope you enjoy our stories.
Yeah, and we hope by the end of it all you'll have a better understanding of what life as a doctor is. You know, there's this rigid way people look at doctors. Oh, if you're a doctor, you're supposed to be so professional, but there's so many aspects of being a doctor, and that's what we would like to share with you. Yeah, today specifically we'll be talking about our experiences as interns during internship, or internship as other, if you ask other people, they'll tell you it's shit.
Internship. Yes, that's what it's called. So the first thing we'll talk about is our first call, because that's the first thing you really do as an intern that really
Is different
yes.
than what you are doing in med school.
Yes.
Yeah, so a call is you are in hospital 24/7 for 24 hours, not 24/7. For 24 straight hours.
But you're also in hospital 24/7.
Oh yeah, basic.
Yeah.
So yeah, for 24 hours. But now the call aspect, you know, during the day there are other people to help you, but at night it's you in a specific department. Alone, yeah. So we'd like to talk about our first call.
Yes. So my first call was my fourth day of internship.
Yeah, that was early.
Yeah, you guys were lucky. You guys went like 2 weeks.
Yeah, mine was
before doing
after
the
2
first
weeks.
call. Me, I did mine the first week. I was so new, but mine was easy actually. Mine was so easy.
Yeah.
Because I remember I went. So for us guys, you know, different hospitals operate differently. So some hospitals you can go home and the ambulance will pick you up.
Yeah.
I think that's ideal. It should be like that.
Yeah, like us, you go home and
Yes.
But
it's because we don't have a call room. Ideally, there should be a call room.
Yeah.
Where you can comfortably catch a nap.
And just be available whenever they call you.
So me, I decided, let me go have supper and then come back when they call me.
Oh, I remember. I've remembered this. This should be interesting.
Which?
Just continue.
The first one was easy. The first one was easy. The first one, so I went, I had supper, I chilled. I was like, because I can fall asleep and then I don't know what will happen. My phone will go off. I won't hear the phone ring. Let me just stay awake. Watch movies. SG, of course, I don't know if I read. Maybe I read.
Probably didn't. Yeah.
So I stayed up almost the whole night and I wasn't cold. In the morning I thought I was mad. I thought something was wrong with me, but apparently it was a good call. And that was my first and only good call.
Good call. Mine, okay, as she said, Hash did it during her 4th day of internship. Mine was like 2 weeks later. Well, I was used to the hospital life, but nothing prepares you for your first call, especially in surgery. Because
you started in the morning.
I started that day. There was a bad accident, so during the day you're supposed to be learning.
Yes.
So I was in theater. Then I'm called. I'm told, "Hey, Daktari, come to casualty. There's an emergency." I'm like, "Wow, it's my first time. How can they call me for an emergency?" Then they called again and again, and I was like, "Okay, let me go." I got there. I found there was an accident. I found a couple of people there in casualty. Someone is bleeding over there. Someone has a broken limb over there.
You think you don't know what to do, but you do.
You
You know
do.
what to do.
I'm telling you, at first, I had like a mini panic attack. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Then I was like, pull yourself together. Then I just did it. Yeah, so I started at like 2 in the afternoon. And I did not sleep until the next day. It was literally one of the worst calls I have ever had. And after that, I think I left the hospital at around 6:30. And by 8, I was supposed to be in the ward because I'm supposed to present the patients that I admitted. So yeah, it wasn't that
Internship for
easy.
you.
Internships.
Yeah. The next first is first CS.
First, yes.
You talk about yours first.
CS, cesarean section is what we mean. My first CS, okay, in our hospital we used to have this policy. I don't know if it's a policy or it's just, I don't know what it is, but you couldn't start doing your CSs until you're at least 2 weeks all in the department.
And 2 weeks was a bit early.
Yeah, 2 weeks was also a bit early because there are
Which
people
doesn't
who,
make sense.
yeah, there are people who would do their first CS after 5 weeks, which was also not
Yeah.
making sense because 5 weeks you've just been there
What are
watching
you
other
doing for 5
people.
weeks?
It's just yeah. So my first CS, I think it was pretty easy. I got virgin abdomen. By that it means someone who has never had any surgical procedure done on them before. So it was just easy. Like I cut, went in, took out the baby, and that is the best feeling ever. Like when you take out the baby and then they cry and everything just goes well. It's just it's amazing.
To say orgasm
Yeah.
for the camera.
Yeah.
Anyway, my first CS, Sifuna taught me how to do a CS and assisted me for my first CS. And it was actually one of my best CSs, I think.
Yeah, so for what you guys, in case you don't know,
No.
she means I'm the real
No.
OG.
That's not what
I'm
we
the real gangster.
But yeah, she is. So, having a good assistant is, especially when you're starting out, is such a good thing. At least, especially if you can command your assistant to do the things.
That is not what she did to me. Oh. Don't get it
I
twisted.
was humble.
Because I was teaching her.
Anyway, so it went well. Baby out, I agree, feels so good. When the baby comes out and doesn't cry immediately, your heart sinks a bit.
You can't even focus on like, you know, there are 2 aspects to that operation. There's the baby and there's the mother. But once you don't hear the baby cry, it goes to your head. So you can't even concentrate on the mother. You're like, oh my God, cry. Because, you know, it's a lot to take someone to theater and then they come out with a baby who is not okay. Yeah. But then there are also aspects where the mother also is a kuletea mashida. That's a story for another day. The next thing we're going to talk about
First death.
First death. Wow. You start.
I think my first death is actually my worst experience because I started rotating with pediatrics, and okay, for those who don't know, pediatrics is for kids. So the very first, maybe this is not my first death, but the very first death I remember, there are good calls and bad calls. So a good call is where you sleep the whole night, which is actually not a good call for learning. That's a bad call for learning. A good call for learning is a good call where you stay up the whole night, which is a bad call for you. So I had one of these good calls where there are no patients. I only had one patient, and I actually stayed up the whole night for that one patient. I think I remember it was a light-skinned baby, and a light-skinned big baby, and the baby came very sick. We can't find a line. We are trying to refer. we can't find anywhere to refer to. The Kenyan system is really broken. It's really broken. I actually stayed up trying to refer the patient the whole night. The whole night. And was I successful? No. The patient died because I couldn't refer the patient. And there's nothing more that I could have done in my capacity. I've called my consultant. My consultant has done his best. We need better facilities and we can't find them.
Yeah, that sucks. I think because that was something that if they had gone to another facility with better, I don't know, equipment, or they just, that baby could have survived.
I left better leaders, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, you guys, we cannot emphasize this more. I left better leaders.
We won't say our political opinions here.
We cannot. We don't want to upset anyone.
For another day. Yeah. We are jobless. We are still looking for jobs.
Yeah. So, first death that really hit me. Wow. I was working in maternity. I think this was like one of the worst days of my internship. I was working in maternity, and you know, a mother dying, they say pregnancy is not a disease. A mother is supposed to come to hospital and they deliver and they go home.
It's a physiological condition.
Yeah, it's just
it's a normal
process.
Condition, yes.
Yeah, it's just like
it's
the
like
way
urinating.
Yes, or going to the loop. You know, it's not a disease. So I got this lady. She had been when you're pregnant, there are these things called danger signs that you're told about. For example, if you start if your water breaks but it's not yet your time, which is called premature rupture of membranes, you're supposed to go to hospital immediately because it puts you at risk of infection and the baby. Yeah, so she got the prom and stayed home. Then she came back. She came to hospital when, I think 4 days later. So she had already gotten a really bad infection. And I think the worst thing about her dying is she was young, 32 years old. And it was something that was also preventable. And you know, once a mother dies, that's a big deal. In hospitals, it's a big deal. They die and immediately that file goes to the national government because that is not supposed to happen. So she came, and by mistake of one of the radiologists, he wrote something that he was not supposed to write. And anyway, long story short, she ended up dying. And it was a really bad night for me. Because I really struggled. I looked for blood for her. I literally sat by her bed, held her hand so that the blood can go, because the nurse I was working with that night was just not cooperating. At the same time, I was in maternity, so there are other emergencies that are coming in, so I have to periodically go to theater, then come back. And I don't know, it's like sometimes when it rains, it pours.
It goes back to the system.
Yeah, it goes back to the system.
The system is understaffed. If there was more than one doctor, because how can the doctor be in theater and in the ward at
handling an emergency? You know,
there are two emergencies.
Sense. Yeah.
How can you do both at the same time? How?
And then I also feel like, despite all that, the nurses are also understaffed, and
the nurses are also understaffed, very understaffed,
and frustrated. So they take out their frustrations on you. You get. So sometimes that was a really bad day for me. Yeah. See, I'm about to even cry.
We really feel these things, by the way.
Yeah, you would think since you didn't know this person, you would not feel it, but you actually do, because this is someone's wife, mother, sister.
And it doesn't get easier. Yeah. No matter how many patients you treat, how many patients die on your hands. It doesn't. Every life is important.
Yeah. Enough about that. Next, first patient you ever got attached to.
Oh.
This happens a lot with the...
I don't know, why are we getting attached to young women?
I don't know.
Because mine was a young woman.
Maybe because we're in that age group and we relate to some of the things they go through.
Yeah. Mine was a young man. I'll never forget this story. A young man in her 20s with one child. She came in very ill. She had a chronic illness. I think she had tried to take medication and I think she was compliant. But maybe I think she had tried to take medication too late. So she came in with anemia. Sorry, her blood levels were very low. She was there's something we call it paper white. When your blood level is too low, that you stop looking pink and you start looking white.
White, like a pepper,
Yes.
pepper white.
Yes. So she came in, we gave first aid, and then time to get history. Her 10-year-old daughter is over there, knows everything about the mother, is giving me complete history, which was brilliant for a 10-year-old. And in the middle of history, the patient starts crashing. We try to resuscitate the patient, and the patient died. No matter how much we did, the patient died.
That's crazy. Because there are two aspects to that. There's the child, and then there's now that mother.
At least the child didn't see that, because I think the relatives were all there, but the relatives didn't know anything about the lady. So the relatives took the child away as we tried.
Yeah, that must have sucked. Me, the first patient I got attached to, I think I have a problem because I personalize some of these experiences, which you're actually told you should separate your emotion from your work, but we're human beings.
You can't.
It happens.
Sometimes you try to because especially during an emergency situation, like it will hit you afterwards. During that period, you're just thinking, this is what I need to do, this patient needs this.
Yeah.
But afterwards.
So me, the patient I got attached to is one of those patients who have stayed in the ward for like ever. Okay, not forever, but those patients who typically our rotations last for 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks, depending on where you are. So those patients who half the time you were in that rotation, she was in the ward. And she was an old lady, I think about 70 years old, and one of the most cooperative patients I've ever had. She had anemia. Yeah, her blood level was low, and we've tried to find why, because anemia is not a disease, it is a symptom. It means something else is going on. That's why your blood is
Like
going
a
low.
headache.
Yeah. So we've done multiple tests on her, and nothing is turning up. We try, and she keeps being transfused multiple, and also it goes back to the system again, because there's one test that we had done. It's called a peripheral blood film. Typically it shouldn't take that long because it's done by a pathologist, and I think, okay, in my opinion, it's something that you just look at a slide under the microscope, and then you can
there's only
tell
one
us.
pathologist in the hospital.
So there's one pathologist. We did the peripheral blood film like every week. No results. Eventually, when the results come, it turns out she has leukemia, and by the time they're coming, she's deteriorated so much from the condition she was in. Anyway, results come. Our consultant sees them, prescribes chemotherapy, medication. She really improves. Then she goes home. We discharge her. 2 days later, she comes back. And, we didn't even have much time to ask what's going on, because she comes. She's been vomiting blood, and we take her blood pressure. She's hypotensive. We're trying to resuscitate. She starts convulsing, and just like that, she dies. And in my head, I was just like, this sucks because we actually found what was wrong. And I know leukemia is one of those really bad cancers. It's a blood cancer, but I feel like if we had discovered this earlier, we would have done something earlier. I don't know. Yeah. But I had really gotten attached to her. Like, I used to go to the ward every day and make sure I have said hi to her and take her fruits and just food. And for those people who are young doctors watching this, be careful when you do that, because that day I cried and it's just, yeah, it's emotionally draining.
So that actually brings me to my best memory. So there's this patient who's also a lady, a 30-something-year-old lady.
It's really weird that we haven't talked about a guy in this. Ugh, we'll do better.
We'll do better. So some lady who'd been in, and maybe I think you've known her. I can't say her name, of course, but
maybe you can tell from the story.
Yes, you had at some point she was in the wards. She'd been in and out of the wards severally. So she'd been sick from January. You know, sometimes illnesses, they say diseases don't read books. So illnesses present differently. Yeah. So you think it will come like this, but then it doesn't. It comes masked as something else. So she'd been coming in with anemia all the time. Anemia. She's getting blood. Sometimes she's not getting blood. But the blood, I just don't
thing.
like the Kenyan system. If you don't get it now,
public hospitals in our country, it's a
struggle.
It's a struggle.
There's no blood. Your relatives have to donate blood for you.
And even after they donate, it will still take a while for you to get that blood. It's
2 weeks.
Frustrating.
2 weeks. You imagine you have HB of 4. A normal HB is an acceptable HB is above 10. You have a blood level of 4. I had a patient with 2.
And 2 is an emergency, actually.
There was no blood literally anywhere. As in, we've called other hospitals. Other hospitals don't have blood. Anyway, so this patient has been in and out of hospital with anemia.
I feel you getting frustrated. Yeah, okay, continue.
Multiple times. And then this time she comes in, we investigate her, we notice she has a kidney issue, and then we get what's her problem, multiple myeloma. And then we work our ass off to find blood, we raise the blood levels, and we start treatment.
Oh, that's nice. It always feels nice when you, I don't know, yeah, that must have felt really nice, especially for such a big diagnosis and you actually found out, and the fact that she was in and out of hospital and no one had discovered it.
And then she was so
nice.
sickly, she just kept saying, Aki, her back is paining. And then, you know, you're looking at the patient, you're like, your back is paining, but what is wrong with you? I don't know what to do. When you find it, best feeling ever.
Yeah. For me, my best day in internship, okay, I'll say one of, because I've had so many best experiences, but I was actually in pediatrics, and it was one of those nights, one of those really bad nights where I haven't really slept, and I had just gotten to the house. It was around 6. I'm like, this is it, I can finally
6
sleep.
6 a.m.
6 a.m, yeah. I'm like, I can finally sleep and just wake up at 8, prepare for the ward round, blah blah.
You're talking about your best day.
Yeah, but this was actually my best
Let's
day.
see how this goes.
So, and it was actually on a Friday, so I was like, it was on a Friday, so I was like, this is it, the end, the weekend is here, let me go sleep, I prepare for Saturday, you know, sherehe. Then I just step into my house, I see hospital calling. I'm like, now what? I pick up, I'm like, they're like, Daktari, kuna emergency. I just I'm thinking, can't I just leave this for the next person who's supposed to come in at 8? Then the nurse in the ward calls me. She's like, Daktari, there's an emergency, please come. I go, I found a girl has been brought in unconscious. Normally, I don't know. So I was tired, by the way. And in normal situations, this is a baby. She actually was about 8 months old. So I'm thinking this baby has been having diarrhea and vomiting, and maybe they've gone into shock, such things. I'm not thinking about her blood sugar. But one of the first things I did, I saw a glucometer there, and I was like, let me just take her blood sugar. I take the blood sugar and it's off the roof. It's like 33. I'm like, what the hell?
Also, it's a vital sign.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is an actual emergency. So that's, 33 is really, really high, considering the normal range is what? It's supposed to be like, shouldn't be above 6. No, as in,
Sorry.
yeah.
Anyway, normal range is 3 to 7 around.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be that high. So 33 was like, whoa. And in a child, that's really rare. Especially a child of 8 months, because before...
It was an 8-month baby.
Yeah. Before you get to that point where your blood, the cells that are making insulin in your body get depleted, that's so young. Anyway, so I spring into action. I start giving her insulin. I couldn't really remember the protocol for managing such things in children, so I had to call the consultant. But at the end of the day, I saved that child's life, and that was just a really amazing feeling. And we discharged after like a week, and I felt really, really nice, because in other situations I wouldn't have thought about the blood glucose, honestly.
And that's something, if you miss, it's catastrophic.
Yeah, and
it's catastrophic.
I was also really proud of myself, because I didn't even waste any time, despite the fact that I was really tired. And yeah, because when you enter internship, those first days they'll call you, you'll go like this. Other days you'll take 1 hour. I'm just saying, like, the system frustrates you to that point. So yeah, I felt really nice, and I actually became friends with the mother, and yeah, it was just a really good feeling. Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back with another episode. Make sure to click the subscribe button. It's somewhere there.
I don't know if it's here or here.
And then
Wherever
give
it
us a thumbs
is.
up
Yes, just
if you like the video.
yeah. Subscribe, like, share. Sharing is caring.
And then follow us. Okay, follow her. Me, I prefer being private. And we have a business.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram. You can follow me. I'm Sifimona. She's Tina. So we'll be linking our Instagrams below so that you can follow us. And I think we'll be having interactive sessions with you guys. If you have any questions about us or anything you would like us to shed light on. This was sort of just an introductory video. But people have so many questions about the hospital. So if you have questions, just send them to us, and we'll be responding in.
And yes, I have Audacity. We'll bring merchandise.